All right, let's talk Pittsburgh Steelers. This has been one heck of an interesting team to talk about this season with a lot of big time moves, a lot of headline grabbers. But there's one move that the Steelers made over the past couple weeks that slid under the radar, but speaks to the fact that they believe they have a generational rookie, especially when you look at the numbers. This is very interesting stuff out of Pittsburgh, which we'll get to in just 1 second. But first, I'm Nick, that is Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, like I mentioned in the opening there, the Steelers have made a lot of moves this offseason. They've been in the news a lot as well. And now that the dust has settled, we've kind of gone back over the past couple of weeks. So we've noticed one news report in particular when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They named Derek Harmon, their first round defensive tackle, already a starter, right? This was announced, I think, a couple weeks ago. So this is not breaking news or anything. But I think what's very interesting, it kind of slid under the radar because all the drama at the quarterback position and things like that. But when you look at the data historically for the Pittsburgh Steelers and what they do when it comes to announcing rookie players, they have never done this before. So let's jump into our first chart here to highlight exactly what I'm talking about. So we're going to look at three Steelers greats. We're talking about Maurkice Pouncey, TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward. Talking about guys, front seven guys, box guys, Steelers greats, all kind of stuff. And if you look at the days after being drafted before they were named the starter, you can see Maurkice Pouncey there. He was about 100, in between 100 150. TJ Watt, same thing, in between 100 150. Cameron Hayward was over 800, right, because he didn't start until a couple of years into the National Football League. And then you have Derek Harmon right there. Again, 50 days. This is something that you don't see before for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They haven't done this. They wait. They wait until preseason. TJ Watt wasn't announced a starter until September 5th of his rookie season 2017. Maurkice Pouncey, again, towards the end of preseason. They haven't even gotten to training camp for Pittsburgh yet, and they've named Derek Harmon the starter. I think that's very interesting. Let's go into our next graph here to kind of remove Cameron Hayward to kind of look at the delta here to really, because obviously the Hayward thing makes the graph kind of expanded and hard to read. And you can see once again here, Pouncey, Watt, and Harmon right here across the board, all three of these guys. Pouncey, 100 plus days. TJ Watt, 100 plus days. Harmon, less than 50 days. That's something very interesting, folks. Again, we don't see this with the Pittsburgh Steelers. These were all-time greats. Pouncey, Watt, Hayward. They were not named a starter until preseason, until right before the regular season. Now, the one thing I wanted to look up when I saw those numbers is like, well, did the Steelers change their MO recently? Do they name starters earlier over the past couple seasons? These Steelers greats have been around a long time. So when we go into our next chart here, we can see the last bucket of first rounders, the days after being drafted for named a starter. You can see Kenny Pickett, you can see Broderick Jones, you can see Troy Fautanu, and there you can see Derek Harmon. Massive deltas, right? All these other rookies, again, traditionally the Steelers, they don't name rookie starters until basically right before the regular season, or more often than not when it comes to these rookies, during the regular season itself. They never do this. This is the first time they've done this in I don't know how many years. They didn't do it with all-time greats before. Like I mentioned, they haven't done it with recent rookies. What does that mean? It means they believe there's something incredibly special and valuable about Derek Harmon. Now, I don't know what degree it is, right? I don't know if they think he's like a day one first team all pro, or if they think he's a great fit day one, or they just want to get him a lot of experience because they see his potential is through the roof. That we don't know, right? You listen to reports in Pittsburgh and players, coaches, everyone is high on him. So you can see that in the Steelers organization, they believe he can be an impact player day one. They believe he can grow into a star player. They think he can be a contributor. And the fact that they named him a starter so early certainly backs up all the commentary. How good Derek Harmon will actually be, we'll have to wait and see. But when you look at what the Steelers have done in terms of naming him a starter, and again, they did this a few weeks ago, kind of quiet news with all the Aaron Rodgers drama. They didn't really talk about it too much. But when you compare it to what they've done with prior first-round picks, and when you compare it to what they've done with prior all-time Steelers greats, it's very clear and very obvious that the Pittsburgh Steelers believe they have a generational prospect in Derek Harmon. All right, Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts on this. Very interesting stuff out of Pittsburgh. But first, Steelers fans, in the comment section below. Obviously, we're talking defensive lineman. We're talking generational talent potentially here with Derek Harmon, which leads me directly to my question for you guys. Who is the guy, the Pittsburgh Steelers first-round pick in your entire fandom that when he was drafted, you thought he was going to be special, right? And now this could go two different ways. It could be a guy who was a bust, could be a guy who never lived up to the hype, could be a guy that did live up to the hype. But I want to know, give us a Steelers first-round pick that they made anytime during your fandom that after seeing him right after the draft, you're like, this guy was special. They knocked it out of the park. Really curious what you guys have to say here because I want to see how often this happens. You have someone that looks, based on reports, to be this special for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let us know in the comment section below. And while you're down there, make sure you sign up for our weekly newsletter. It's courtesy of Substack, 100% free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just a lot of, little extra write-ups and content for you guys. A lot of our favorite stuff. And again, the best comment of the week makes it to our newsletter. So if you got something smart to say, you throw it in the comment section below, may make it into the newsletter. You may see yourself there. So make sure you sign up for that. Links are in the description and comment section below. But Mize, enough from me. Over to you. What are your thoughts on this latest news out of Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Nick, I think there is something really important about this. People will be like, I mean, who cares? He's first round pick. He's named a starter. Like, how important is that? I think it's pretty important, and I think it's showing a cultural shift in Pittsburgh and what they're doing. I think one of two things: either cultural shift or this guy is that good. It's that undeniable. He's the best Steeler to roll through this locker room in generations. I don't. We'll have to wait and see. It's very possible that is the case, but I think it has a little bit to do with both. He's probably very, very good, and there's something going on. Because I remember, and I know you remember, a while ago when Broderick Jones got drafted and he came in, we were doing film reviews and we saw the guy. And in that first couple weeks, he didn't really play a whole lot. And then week 4, he came in, did good. And then week 5 against the Baltimore Ravens, he came in and he had a really good game. And it was at left tackle, and people like, wow, this guy should start. We need to really put him in there. And, I think there's injuries with Dan Moore maybe at the time, something like that was the reason that he was able to get in there early. But then they take him out and he doesn't play again until week 8. And everyone's like, this is just Steelers doing what they always do. They don't start rookies. They really, really tough on the rookies. Then all of a sudden, week 8 rolls around, and I think everybody was surprised that Broderick Jones was named a starter at the right tackle position. So I think there is something special going here because as good as Broderick Jones was, and as impressive as he was as a rookie at times, being in the situations he had to be put in, he didn't get named the starter until like week 8. Already now, Derek Harmon coming in, just doing really good stuff, being named a starter like you said under 50 days. I think there is something special. I think something different is going on in Pittsburgh, and we've talked about it. This offseason has been very different from them. They've made a lot of changes. They've done a lot of stuff in the front office. They've made changes like way quicker than they normally would have. Going off of Pickens is something I don't think a lot of people would have imagined was going to happen last year or 2 years ago. They would say, well, they're just going to stick with the guy and just see what happens. No, they're making big wave-changing moves all over the team, all over the roster, and through this thing, I think this is a sign of something to come. I think we're going to start seeing the best players play. I think we're going to start seeing guys get into the lineup early on. It's going to help with consistency. It's going to help with a lot of stuff with this Pittsburgh team, and Derek Harmon is the front runner of it. Yes, it's because he's really, really good. Yes, Derek Harmon, I think he's going to make an impact on this team. We talked about it. He's going to be the next Cam Hayward. Maybe not, skill-wise early on. I think it's going to take some time to build up to that. But we talked about it earlier in one of our videos, just comparing him to Cam Hayward. And just this guy can be the new face of that front four if you need him to be. And I think there's something special going on with Pittsburgh. And this, naming him the starter so early, is the start of that.
You bring up a great point. I think one of the problems the Steelers have had with their most important position on the field, the quarterback position, ever since Roethlisberger retired, obviously the Kenny Pickett experiment notwithstanding, it's been a lot of like short-term answers. It's been, Russell Wilson. He obviously wasn't going to be the starter for a decade. Obviously Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's going to have a one and done, it seems, this season for Pittsburgh. So as an organization, the Steelers have done a really poor job, not to be too critical, but I think it's just the truth, setting themselves up for generational planning for 5, 10, 15-year organizational success. I mean, as consistent as they are winning games, even though the playoff disasters continue, they haven't really done a good job of the last 5 years figuring out next year's plan and the years after plan. How do we build a consistent winner? They've basically, now granted, they've done a decent job of it, but taken every offseason and been like, okay, what can we do to throw a team together at some key positions like quarterback, and maybe we'll be good enough to make the playoffs, right? And they've done that for multiple years, and they found a way to get it done, and credit to them, I guess, for doing it. But they've done a bad job in terms of how do we set ourselves up to be a winner and championship contender once again, over the next 5, 6, 7 years. If you look at top contenders in the NFL, they all have a long-term approach. They all think simultaneously for today, but also think about what's it going to be like in 3, 4, 5 years. The Steelers have done a great job thinking about today, to be totally honest. They actually have, but they've done a terrible job thinking about the future. I think the move here for Harmon is exactly what you're highlighting, is that cultural shift. Like, okay, we're going to start thinking more about the future. We're going to start bringing young guys in earlier on, and not just say, oh, we're going to sit rookies because rookies make mistakes, and that may hurt ourselves to we may only win 11 games or may only win 10 games this year instead of 11 or something like that. Like, yeah, you got to develop these guys. You got to get these guys on the field. You got to get them an opportunity to excel while they're on cheap rookie deals, right? This is just logical stuff. Most NFL teams figure this out. Pittsburgh has been resistant to it. To your point, it looks like they're changing. Or the other side is he's a generational talent. And I think there may be a little bit of both here, right? We've covered a lot of the commentary around Mount Harmon. Everyone's impressed with him. So I think I think it's sort of a both a synergistic kind of thing here, where the Steelers have been looking for an opportunity to announce a rookie starter this offseason, maybe even last offseason, who knows? And they haven't had a guy who's good enough yet. Because you don't want to just name a rookie starter early and he stinks, right? That would obviously not work out at all. But now that they have a guy that they believe is good enough and ready to be a day one starter, all right, this is the guy we wanted to announce. We're going to hitch our wagon to this guy. He's going to be the guy that signifies the change in culture in Pittsburgh. And look, we'll have to see how it all works out. It's early. I understand that, all those caveats we throw on every video in June and July. But I think at this point, Steelers fans, you should be at least a little bit excited, at least organizationally, in terms of the changes they're making. They're reorienting their focus, not just trying to squeeze out however many wins they can for each individual season, but actually taking an approach to the long term. And again, we'll see what happens at the quarterback in the future. I know that's the big if that always exists, it seems, in Pittsburgh. But at least when it comes to Derek Harmon and when at least it comes to other positions on this roster, the Steelers are finally taking a long-term approach.